Welcome to Reparenting Daily, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is the daily reading, the second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us on this journey of self-expansion. If this is your first time here, welcome. As a celebration of passing episode 700, I've opened a free membership tier for the Patreon community so you can access additional resources and join the weekly Zoom calls for free. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now and that so many people are really struggling. My hope here is to still encourage others to continue the work on reparenting and to offer a free community where people can come together and do that. I'd also like to thank all of you who've been along on the journey so far. Just as a reminder, this is a free podcast, but you can support the project by purchasing the Reparenting Daily Journal, where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week, and also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into the 3 phases of the hero's journey. While you might think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over millennia that we can use in our reparenting journey. It's a fun way to reconnect with your inner child. Each volume comprises 10 fairy tales. They include an analysis section to help you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts and space to reflect on the story's meaning in your life. Lastly, you can also support the project by taking a paid Patreon subscription, by purchasing the books on the website, or by donating via Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the Support Us section of the website. So now, with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is a continuation of The Psychology of Routine. Just as a reminder, we're in April and the theme for this month is Developing Structure and Discipline. We're in week 1, and the theme for this week is the importance of structure. Today we're reading from the next section, Emotional Regulation, Identity, and the Need for Predictability. Routine is not only a cognitive tool, it's also a powerful mechanism for emotional regulation. The human nervous system responds to unpredictability with heightened alertness. In evolutionary terms, unfamiliar conditions may signal threat. While the modern world does not always present physical danger, the psychological stress of uncertainty remains. Routine helps mitigate this by offering temporal predictability and a stable frame through which the experience can be processed. This is particularly important for individuals living with anxiety disorders, trauma histories, or neurodivergent traits. For these populations, routine is often not a preference but a psychological necessity. In trauma recovery, for example, clinicians often recommend the establishment of daily rhythms as a form of grounding. For these populations, routine is often not a preference but a psychological necessity. In trauma recovery, for example, clinicians often recommend the re-establishment of daily rhythms as a form of grounding. The repetition of basic acts, taking the same walk, walking at the same time, preparing food, engaging in structured activity, can calm hypervigilant systems and creating conditions for emotional safety. From a developmental standpoint, the need for consistency is fundamental. John Bowlby's attachment theory emphasizes the importance of a reliable, predictable caregiving in early childhood. Infants and young children require routines to form secure internal working models of the world. A child who cannot expect consistent feeding, sleep, or attention patterns is more likely to develop emotional resilience and relational trust. These early patterns often become internalized and replicated in adulthood, not only within personal habits, but also in how individuals organize with their time with others. Even without conscious awareness, many people continue to rely on routines as a way to feel anchored, emotionally, socially, and temporally. Routines also play a critical role in identity formation. Over time, repeated behaviors form a narrative that constructs or helps people construct a sense of self. A person who exercises that same time each day, prepares the food in a particular way, who reads before bed, or who arranges their environment with consistent care is not merely passing time. They're shaping their identity through rhythm. In this way, routines create symbolic continuity. They mark who we are, how we live, what we value. The absence of routine, by contrast, can be disorienting. Individuals experiencing depression or grief often report a collapse of structure as one of the most distressing aspects of their condition. Days blurs together, meals become irregular, personal care is neglected. Without the temporal markers that routine provides, time can feel meaningless and life directionless. Restoring even basic routines in these moments is frequently the first step towards emotional stabilization. Importantly, routines offer a buffer not only against emotional volatility but against relational confusion. In romantic relationships, family life, or caregiving contexts, shared routines provide rhythm and clarity. Mealtime, sleeping patterns, chore distribution all influence relational harmony. When routines are consistent or inconsistent or erratic, conflict often increases. When they are reliable and jointly maintained, the relationship is more likely to feel cohesive and supportive. Routines function as a quite large routines function as a quite large of emotional care. I think routines function as a quiet language, of emotional care. It's getting late here tonight. These help maintain boundaries, signal intentionality, and reinforce trust. They also reflect psychological boundaries within the self. A person who keeps consistent sleep hygiene and work rituals is not being rigid. They are practicing internal alignment. In many cases, this internal structure prevents emotional fragmentation that supports long-term functioning. The emotional dimension of routine is easily overlooked in a society that frames repetition as dull. Yet the evidence suggests the opposite. Routine is a core psychological stabilizer. It enables the regulation of affect, supports the development and maintenance of identity, and fosters secure interpersonal environments. In a world that is increasingly encouraged by constant stimulation and variability, routines provide that rare gift of emotional equilibrium. Thank you, and that's the reading for today. Welcome back. This part of the reading, this essay, makes something very clear. Structure is more than productivity, it's about emotional safety. That's something that all of us have really been looking for. The nervous system doesn't like unpredictability. When your days are chaotic, inconsistent, or constantly changing, your brain stays on edge, constantly scanning for what's next. That low-level alertness drains you. Routine, on the other hand, signals safety. It tells your system you know what's coming, you're in control. And that alone can reduce anxiety more than most people realize. There's also a deeper layer of understanding here around identity. The things you do repeatedly are not just tasks, they are evidence of who you are. If your days are fractured, unstructured, your identity becomes blurry. But when you have consistent rhythms, waking up at the same time, taking care of your body, showing up for your work, you start to build a stable sense of self. You're no longer guessing who you are, your actions are telling you. Structure doesn't just organize your time, it organizes and defines your identity. What really hits is how the absence of routine leads to emotional drift. When structure collapses, everything else tends to follow: sleep, energy, mood, and focus. That's why rebuilding even the smallest routine, getting up at the same time, eating regularly, or maintaining basic order in your room, can be the first step out of chaos. It's not glamorous or shiny, but it's effective and it will work. Routines aren't boring, they're stabilizing. And stability is what allows everything else to grow. If we go to the journal prompts for today, number 1, where in my life do I still feel the most emotional instability? And how might a simple routine help create more predictability there? Number 2, what daily actions am I repeating that are shaping my identity, for better or worse? And number 3, if I were to rebuild my sense of stability from scratch, what are the first 3 routines I would commit to consistently? That's it for today. As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and please do be well. welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for the next 10 minutes. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you most comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you're taking time to be with your breath and to connect more fully with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing, as if they are leaves drifting down top river. Use this time to connect with yourself, whatever time of day you are listening to this. Namaste.